Welcome to the Krista Redpath Show, where sports takes center stage and stories come to life. I'm Krista, your host, veteran analyst, and passionate storyteller, bringing you weekly in-depth conversations and sharp analysis across the world of sports. The Krista Redpath Show, breaking down the game, elevating the story, and championing the female voice. Today's show is brought to you by Advanced Imaging. As the official cancer awareness partner of the Montana Grizzlies, Advanced Imaging invites you to join them this month and all year in raising breast cancer awareness. Join them at the U of M Homecoming Parade October 11th and at the Griz football Think Pink game on October 18th. Find the details for these events and how you can be a supporter at advancedimagingofmt.com. Let's dive into the story of one of Montana's greatest treasures. Some athletes win games, a rare few win championships, and then there's Dave Dickenson, a true winner at every level he's ever played or coached. In Great Falls at CMR, Dave went a perfect 23-0 as a starter, capturing back-to-back state championships in 1989 and 1990. At the University of Montana, he became a Griz legend, leading his team to the school's first ever national championship in 1995. His winning ways continued north of the border, guiding the BC Lions to the Grey Cup title in 2006 as a player, and later lifting the trophy again as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders in 2018. Dave's legacy has been cemented not just on the field, but in the history books. He was inducted into the University of Montana Grizzly Sports Hall of Fame in 2002. In 2016, he was honored closer to home in the Montana Football Hall of Fame. And in 2018, the ultimate honor, enshrinement into the College Football Hall of Fame, joining the most elite players in the history of the game. Before all these championships and honors, his story began in Great Falls, Montana, in a household grounded in education, discipline, and community. Both of Dave's parents were teachers. His father, Bob, spent years at Great Falls High School, shaping students in the classroom and on the playing field as a coach. His mother, Sue, also a dedicated teacher, went on to serve in the Montana State Legislature, continuing her commitment to education and public service. At its heart, Dave's journey reflects the best of Montana values, a foundation built by his parents who believed in teaching, serving, and leading, values that still echo in the way he carries himself today as a husband, father, and current head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. Dave, it is an honor to welcome you to my show.
Thank you. Yeah, no, a lot of good things there. I like coming on these shows partially because I enjoy people like yourself and people that are willing to celebrate Montana. But I also like to hear about the past. And, you do sometimes when you're kind of in the mix and you forget, you tell your players you live in the moment, but it is nice to look back. My dad, I think Bob, I want to make sure Bob gets in there because he certainly was always the coach and hard one. And then your mother, she's the one that kind of put the foundation.
Isn't that just great? Like that foundation that you learn in Great Falls. But can you tell everyone what you're up to now and talk a little bit about the current head coaching position for Calgary?
Yeah, so I've been coaching. I retired in 2008 and went straight to coaching and wasn't really sure I wanted to do that. I mean, it's kind of a weird life. It's a challenging life, especially on families. The good thing for me was I haven't had to move. I guess a lot of times if you're a good coach, you'll move on. And if you're a bad coach, you get moved on. It's the middle of the road coaches that stick at the same team. So I've been fortunate in Calgary. I like it here. Got my brother on staff with me now, first year. That's been good. We've had a rough go, Krista. We've had 2 years where we weren't up to standard. And before that, I'd never even had a losing season. I guess one in San Diego Chargers as a player or a coach. But we had a rough patch. But we have seemed to get things back on track. And it's been a lot more fun, a lot more fun when you put all this time and effort into something to see the results.
So Dave, let's start at the beginning. Let's go back to your Great Falls day. I know that I have so many fond memories from Giant Springs visits to feeding the ducks at Gibson Park, to our amazing state fair and to the Bison Russell games. But can you tell us about some of your favorite Great Falls childhood memories?
Yeah, well, it's funny because see, I always call it the Griz Cat game. So you said the Bison Russell game, so it's the Russell Bison game, the CMR
I knew that was going to
beating
start.
Great Falls High. I just I don't remember Great Falls High winning in football and basketball with Scotty Hatler and those guys. That was certainly we didn't win as many games, but it's weird because we didn't really grow up with much. Like my folks still live in the same house that we grew up in, Riverview Drive. We had like I think it was something like seven boys go from that one city block to play college football. It's pretty crazy to me because that just shouldn't happen. And we had a great group of guys and young guys, but honestly, it was like fences tried to get put up and we just somehow knock them over. Little trees were getting put up on our yards and then we'd somehow knock them over. And we had balls going down chimneys that start fires. We were just a really good neighborhood of sports, but none of us really believed we didn't have everything we needed. Then you go into the real world like with your own and you start thinking like, man, we didn't have very much. Like I didn't have Nike shoes. I didn't have polo shirts. But it didn't matter. It really didn't matter because we had enough and we just had a good group and it was a sports community and a sports city. And then it kind of, like you said, morphs a little bit into Great Falls. I think Great Falls is also underrated. I think it's got, the things that the values and the coaching and the teachers. It is too windy. I'll give you that, Krista. It's too windy of a city, but there's just to me, I just felt like it kind of gives you that hard work and you knew you had to put your time in. And if you did, you'd get rewarded. And those are things I remember growing up.
Dave, you grew up with two siblings, a brother and a sister, just a year older than you. What role did sports play in shaping a competitive spirit among the three of you?
They're both just a year older than me. So this is kind of private knowledge, but my dad, yeah, I was a mistake, no doubt about it. He likes to remind me that nobody really wants three kids in 1 year. So it was good because I always played with the older kids. So since Craig's kind of, it was I was always playing like a grade up. And even though I had my own friends, I was always competing with the grade up, and sometimes even more than that because the other boys on the block were also older. So it was one of those, yes. He we're built a little differently. We played all the same sports. He would excel maybe in different areas, like he was a kicker. That's what he coaches now. We did challenge each other and play the like we he would take the golf spot, and then the next week I would get the golf spot, but we would kind of take each other's job. Always always felt as a younger one I had a little advantage. So no, it was certainly it was challenging. We get along great. I mean, I don't think we've had any fights since 11, 12 years old. And you guys, you have boys and it can happen, but we get along great. And then we support each other. So it's still going on, which is nice.
So you grew up in Riverview. CMR was always kind of in your blood. Did you look forward to getting to those high school years? I mean, I know you won in high school. Did you also win in your junior high years leading up to high school?
Well, so my dad taught at Great Falls High. So, and then my mom subbed. She basically was a mom and did a lot of the good things on that. So what was happening? There's a guy named Scott Hatler and John Taft, and all three of us, we all lived in the same neighborhood. Johnny Taft's parents coached at CMR, and then Mr. Hatler and my dad coached at Great Falls High. And so we were kind of always fighting for, again, the point guard in basketball. They were great all older. Scott did held back, but there was pressure I think, for us to go to Great Falls High. Like, hey, Bob, if you're going to keep coaching here, your son needs to be here. Are you going to move? And it didn't happen that way. And I know for us, it was just kind of one of those things where my dad stepped back. He kind of lowered his level coaching, went down to the ninth grade, and then as we got older, so that he could kind of maybe watch more of our games. I do remember a game in ninth grade. I got tore up. I think it was ninth, maybe eighth, where we were playing against my dad's freshman team, and I got like an elbow injury. It required like 40 some stitches, and I don't think it was going very well. Like I think if we were like 2-4, or we only played like 6 games or whatever, and I really didn't come into my own until like sophomore year, like football. I think I was better at basketball, and I've always and we played baseball and golf, and we did it all. But really, the sport that I have now called my passion and also what makes my life easier is football. I didn't come into my own until about sophomore year, and I just remember just size was a problem. I'm not very fast, not very strong. Just finally figured it out. And from about sophomore year on, yes, CMR, we had great teams. But no, it was a battle early, very competitive, overly competitive, kind of a baby, poor sport at times. That certainly, looking back, those are some things you kind of wish you could do different. But no, it was good.
We all had those growing pains, right? And you mentioned the Hattler family. I played for Roger Hattler. He was my coach. And
Awesome.
it was crazy because I felt like I was surrounded by Bobcats everywhere. And I ended up going to U of M, but the Hattler family, they're pretty much all Bobcat. So they all
Yeah.
Bobson, all Bobcat.
Well, my dad's a Bobcat. My mom's a Griz. I I think, like you said, I definitely think Great Falls was a Bobcat town up until I'm gonna say maybe 3, 4, 5 years before me. Like the older Califat, Jim went to the Cats, and then Joe went to the Grizz. Obviously, some other name dropping like I'm good with the Arnson family. He went to the Grizz. Smirker went to the Grizz, but it was Cats full on. The Timmer family, like there was people were always it was Bobcat, Bobcat, Bobcats. By the time I got going to college, it had turned. Great Falls had become a Grizz city, and I guess just wanted to follow line. We had quite a group go to the Grizz from CMR. Obviously, it's weird how it doesn't always materialize, and maybe people don't maybe have the same success, but it was a good group of Bison and Rustlers that went. Johanse Manzanares, Scotty Spraggins from Great Falls High, and then Jeff McElroy was on mine. Trying to think of the other guys. Jamer Bartel. We had a good group. Mike Barrett. I mean, we really did. We had a good team, but it was fun. And I'm glad you chose the Grizz, Krista, because you're smart. I knew you would make the right decisions.
Well, let's dive into your years at CMR playing under Jack Johnson, legendary coach. I mean, he coached for 41 years, 13 championships. He played in 20, two of which you won. But can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Jack Johnson and playing for CMR during those years?
Well, we got together last year. It'd been a while. It's always fun to see Coach. One of the stories that's out there people probably don't know about. So we had a teacher strike. It was my junior year, my brother's senior year. I don't know all the details, but basically what happened was we played a game and then we went on strike. And so we honored a strike, my brother and I. So we missed a game. And that was the coaches came in and coached, and it was a big deal. It was obviously two sides to every story. And I think obviously the coaches felt like, hey, we got to support the kids. And yet a lot of the teachers were like, hey, without your support, the strike doesn't get resolved. That was just a weird thing because I was just trying to prove myself and I was just trying to get on the team and trying to do those type of things. So, but Coach Johnson was part of our community as well. They were no nonsense. Coach is very intimidating, very disciplined. Like another story that wouldn't fly today is, you showed up with your hair outside your helmet. He cut it off. Our trainer, Mr. Wiley, and then you ain't getting away with that in today's world. But he had literally had scissors and trimmers, and you lost your hair right out the back of your helmet, and it was a military style. It was no nonsense. It really wasn't probably what you want, having kids now. It was a little bit in your face. You definitely got challenged, your manhood. I responded well to it. I enjoy hard coaching, and we really had a heck of a staff. Sparky Cocky was a great mentor. But coach, everything he earned, he did it his way, but he did it the right way, in my opinion. We still, both Craig and I, try to follow some of the things that he instilled in us for sure.
As you're winning these state championships, you're having success. Are the Grizz coming on your radar? Are you thinking, I want to play for U of M? Or how did the whole recruiting come about? And how did you land at the University of Montana?
So I wanted to go there. I was getting a lot of letters from people about like other schools, bigger schools, but nobody really, I didn't send any of the questionnaires, and I don't know what people do now. It's all online, but I just didn't think I was going to fit into a big school. Being at the time I was 5'9", 5'10", maybe 150 pounds. That's not what people are looking for. I'm in the business now. There's no way I'd ever get a scholarship. But I remember the coaches from Montana coming to a basketball game and you know, liking what they saw. I think it was more a lot of pressure on them too, probably because at the time you're trying to win to recruit the state, and yet maybe they didn't think I was going to ever pan out, but there's pressure to sign the guy that's won the state player of the year 2 years in a row. Montana State had a guy named Earl Solomonson, and he had signed a quarterback from Capital named Ryan Grovem. And I said, hey, what's the deal? And he's like, well, whoever doesn't win the quarterback job can play somewhere else. And I said, no, I can't do that. That's not going to happen. So I thought I wanted to go to the Griz. And then the weird part is Don Reed, who we're going to have a chance to celebrate. I mean, he's easy to love. And then the assistant coaches, we went on a recruiting trip, and everybody else got to go bowling and do stuff. I went straight into the film room with a guy named Tommy Lee, I think. I know it sounds weird, but I signed, and then immediately Bob Bears and Tom and all these guys left to go to a called the World Football League, and it was just kind of eye-opening. All the people that you'd spent your time that you want to work with were gone, but I had my guys and my wrestlers, and I felt like it was going to be a process, and I was super excited to just go to Montana. I didn't know if I was going to be any good, but I wanted to get my school paid for. That was number one. Two was I just want to keep playing the sport I love.
The Krista Redpath Show is brought to you this week by Advanced Imaging. As the official cancer awareness partner of the Montana Grizzlies, Advanced Imaging is raising the community conversation around breast cancer awareness. Advanced Imaging provides expert screening and diagnostic breast imaging because early detection could save your life. Join them at U of M Homecoming Parade October 11th and at the Griz football Think Pink game on October 18th, when all Griz fans will stand in support of breast cancer awareness. Let's show the power of pink and support survivors on the field and across our community. Get more details about these events and cancer screenings at advancedimagingmt.com. Visiting with Dave Dickenson, and now we're about to dive into these Griz years, Dave. Looking back at your time with the Griz, before we really get into it, what stands out the most about your years in Missoula?
It's the relationships. Weird thing is I went to college with this idea that I'm not going to choose my roommate and I'm going to just let fate figure it out. So I don't know if I'd recommend that to too many people because at the time I had this thing where I can figure it out. I want to meet new people and learn. Well, anyway, my roommate's Matt Wells. I mean, that's one of those that you look back at and you're like, oh, that makes sense. But Matt had come in, and Matt had played at Ashland, Oregon, and his quarterback was a year older than him and also signed with the Griz the year before. His name Bert Wilberger. So it was one of those things when you get there, I think Matty was cool with being roommates with me, but he was supporting his guy. I mean, that was going to be Bert. Bert was going to be the future on that. But honestly, the thing I love about the city is just a college city, and they take care of each other. And I think Montana's special that way. I think it's just people are kind of, in our generation at least, it was taking care of each other and not worried about other things and other viewpoints. It was just about big rivalry, but hey, you're a Montanan, we love you. What do you need? How can I help you? What are your passions, and where are we going with this? But I love the city, the river, the mountains. Just to me, it's just prime real estate. It's probably the area I'd love to retire in. So hopefully not too soon, but Missoula's the spot for me.
In 1992, you come in and you take third that year. But from then on out in your years, you steadily improved and got to that national championship, obviously winning a national championship. But can you take us through some of those most pivotal games, or a game that you remember at Washington Grizzly Stadium?
Yeah, so 92, I know I'm up for the job to try to win it. And in winter conditioning, I get mono. I drop like 22 pounds. And I'm not that heavy. So 22 pounds was too many. We actually had a scrimmage in Great Falls. I didn't play as good as I wanted to. So I wasn't sure I was going to be a starter in 93, and did better in those practices, the 2 days in August. And then Coach Reed decided, hey, Dave, you're going to get the first game. Bert, you're going to start the second game. The first game we're both going to play. The first game, South Dakota State, we're down early, and Bert comes in. We get down more. I think it started the second half. I think it's like 38-7. And just, I guess, a snowball, an avalanche came through there because we just started rolling and rolling. And then we won that 52-48. I mean, think of that. It's like amazing comeback, all outstanding. And then you go in and you're benched the next game. So,
The highs and lows.
oh, like even in my mind, I was like, wow, I just literally, we came back from 38-7 and now I'm benched. But we went to Oregon, played the Ducks. Bert was from Oregon, and we got behind like 21-3. I got in the second quarter, and then we made a game of it. We lost 35-30 and again played well. From that point on, it was pretty much a great year. 93, I think, gets lost in the shuffle. I think we had a heck of a team. We really did. And we won the Big Sky, and we beat Idaho, who had some studs, Doug Nussmeier, and some guys that were great players. Yeah, I tell this to my kid all the time. I got first team Big Sky quarterback in 93, and Doug Nussmeier won the Walter Payton Award that year. So he was the second team quarterback in the Big Sky. It was a fairy tale year until playoffs. We had a heck of a game against Delaware. I mean, I think it was finished 49-48. We lost on a missed extra point, and then they scored, but it was probably my pretty could have been my best game ever that I've ever played. And then, so it just kind of set things up for 94 and great group again. But I got hurt at the end of 94, and Boise whooped our butts. Pokey Allen, another Montana guy, had a plan. He whooped me, and we just couldn't get it done. And then 95 was kind of that storybook. Hey, we got to get it done. And people don't realize, I think the 96 team might have been the best team that I was a part of. I wasn't there, but I'm saying the guys were great. They were, I think, undefeated going in to play Marshall, but we had a lot of those same players really, really help us in 95. That junior class was outstanding, and they really did help us a ton to get that title in 95. So, yeah, all three starting years had a little bit ups and downs, but we were solid, and the Griz, we took off. That stadium was rocking, and yeah, I really believe we kind of built the end zones. I mean, they weren't there. It was grass, and by the time 95 was over, it is even gotten better now, but we kind of built that foundation and got rolling from there.
So December 16th, 1995, Huntington, West Virginia, in front of 30,000 fans, which people like to say they were Marshall fans, but I know there were a few Griz fans there. You had yourself a game, but the Griz defense really came up also big in that game, forcing turnovers and keeping kind of Marshall's high octane offense at bay. Obviously, Andy Larson came through clutch. You get the victory, the 22-20 victory at Marshall. I remember, I was younger than you, Dave, so I was a freshman back in Missoula, but I remember what it was like to greet the plane when you guys got back. And literally, the U of M football legacy was solidified there, but the Missoula community, they're so intertwined. So I will never forget that moment of welcoming you off the charter plane. But can you take us through just what that game was like, playing in front of that type of crowd and just the ups and downs of that championship environment?
Well, if you remember, we had those blue polyester like track suits that we all wore, which I got pictures now. I'm like, what are we doing?
You got to bring some of those pictures back.
Oh, come on, Coach Reed. We got to do better than that. First off, we were dominating the playoffs. I mean, our defense didn't. I think we had back-to-back shutouts, and then we beat Stephen F 70-14. I actually had a shoulder injury that game, so going into the title game, I think I had like kind of my own voodoo doctors, Beth Ikeda and Phil Ryan, and we were trying all sorts of things to try to get. It was my throwing shoulder, so we were doing some different things. But I was kind of like I wasn't telling anybody. And I didn't want anyone to really know and change the karma and do all that sort of stuff. But our defense really did play well, and we struggled. For some reason, we're playing Marshall in Marshall, so that was just where the game was going to be, regardless of whose teams were in it. But they had upsets they would carry Joseph, where I'm trying to think where he played. I was down in Louisiana, but anyway, they had upset him and got the game. We were both like not the number one or number two seeds. We came into that, Chris, as a 6 seed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but we felt pretty confident, even though I don't think a lot of people gave us a ton of credit. We struggle in artificial turf. So obviously Don Reed back at Washington Grizzly would keep the grass like 3 inches high. And it actually slowed people down and helped it with our prediction. We got on artificial turf that game. And the offensive line, we're going up against guys probably with a little more speed than they were used to. We didn't have a great game offensively. We did enough, a lot of belief in that room. And I thought that was my last game ever. I thought that was it. I thought Dave Dickinson's career is over. Didn't happen that way, obviously, but I would have been okay with that. It just really felt like, yeah, we had a one of those years that you look back, it did a lot of things fell our way, but then we did take advantage of that win and won in the biggest moment we could have.
So the Griz fan base, they're famously passionate, Dave, to a point where you walk around and they act like you just finished playing and you've been done for many years. What did that support mean to you then? And what does it feel like now when you come back to Missoula?
Well, my liver is a little in better shape now that I don't go to Missoula as often and hang with the guys at Stocks. Love the Larsons. No, it was a lot. Gordy Fix was big. I mean, there was tons of people. And then they're like Dave Paoli. I mean, these guys are solid fixtures of Montana, but Missoula, and that helped us out. And they are very passionate, but they also, I believe they kind of feel like they're included in the games. I'm talking Lady Griz and also, I mean, think of Griz, the men's team back then. I mean, we had some things going on, and it was one of those things where there was a lot of pride in our state. I really felt by winning it, I think we kind of put it on the map a little bit. I think everyone kind of knew the Grizz were solid, but after that run and that stadium, the noise, and now it's famous. It's an atmosphere and a crowd and a community that is known throughout all of the United States, not in Canada. I'm working on it, but as being this is a place to go and a destination. You want to see what college football is all about, go to Montana. So it was great, and those guys still stay in my life. I still talk to a lot of them, and still feel like they'll do anything for me if I need it.
Do you get a chance to get together? I know it's year round with coaching, but do you get a chance to get together with your teammates, and do you still stay in touch with them? I know I have multiple text threads with all of my years that I played with, but are they still in your regular everyday life?
You're better. I see you guys on social media, and you guys rally whenever you have, obviously with Skyla, and I think women do a better job than men at staying in touch. And I think I wish that was the way it was. I wish it was. We do stay in touch a little bit, but not like we should. And we do have some, obviously events planned, and we got together this year. Why does it take, something like that to stay in touch? I don't know. I think we get so engrossed in our own lives and you forget. But I do feel like if you ever need anything, or if you ever had anything that came up, those are the guys I think that would always be there for you.
I always say the same thing, Dave. You don't see someone for a year, 2 years, 5 years. You pick right back up with them when you do, because those are such formative years that you played together.
Yeah, my wife, unfortunately, she's like, are we going to hear the same exact stories again? Every time we go down for reunions, it's almost like you forget you're 50. What am I now? 52 years old. And we always go back, but it is true. I mean, college, I don't know about you, college was the best. You don't have the same responsibilities. You're not, at least I was lucky. I mean, had a scholarship, so financially it was fine. I just felt like you didn't have all those stressful situations. Now, and honestly, I didn't even, social media wasn't around.
Thank goodness.
It was the team. It wasn't about you. It was the
Right.
team. It was accomplish something as a team. Generate your memories, not to post online. Generate them to remember for history, and put your name in the record books. Put your name on the right side. I personally feel like it's so much easier back in our day to just I don't get to know someone just to form that bond. Whereas now I do think it's very tough with the portal, NIL. It's just got to be a very difficult situation for the House brothers to actually figure out what they want to do each and every year.
One of my first memories is coming in as a freshman when you were a senior. Obviously, I really looked up to you. You look up to everyone that goes somewhere from Great Falls. But Rob Selvig told Megan Harrington and I that we needed to go read with the youth. It was like out at Hellgate Elementary. We show up to like a full gym, and it's you and Matt Wells and like me and Megan. Like they're going to want to listen to Megan and I. It's you and Matt that are there. And we had to speak in front of a gym and tell them about books we like to read in our childhood. Does this ring a bell to you at all?
It does. Just because you're from Great Falls, though. I'm serious because I'm going to say I'm a little bit not snooty, but when you're like a senior and then
Oh,
you're a freshman or whatever, But Matt and I, we still this day, I think we're just Griz. So Lady Griz, it was fun. I'm still a fan like of your own and also of other sports. So I mean, you had that. I mean, I remember when I came in, it was Shannon Kate. I mean, she was a legend, still is, and just did everything. And I enjoyed, if a senior or somebody in that would give you a little bit of time and visit with you. So hopefully I treated you guys well. I'm Megan as well. What a player. Still watch. She's still doing great things. And with that documentary you guys put together, I was just amazing. And I do feel like obviously you and I are a little bit different generation, a lot closer now. But yeah, certainly those were great times.
I remember coming onto campus and being like, I can't believe I'm here and I'm around all of this like high level, high caliber play. To be quite honest, Dave, we were winning in every sport. So as soon as
Yeah,
I
I
got
know.
to U of M, I mean, men's basketball was winning, football was winning, Lady Griz were always winning. You just wanted to try to get out on the floor because it was so competitive at that point. You're like fighting for minutes. But it was just really tremendous to see all the athletic departments in that era having so much success at the University of Montana.
Think how the facilities have changed. I mean, I always felt like, honestly, the basketball floor was pretty darn nice. I know they switched it and redid some stuff, but I really felt like when they could pack it in there with the 11 and 12,000, that was a great atmosphere. The football stayed, but our locker rooms were not up to standard, a weight room not up to standard. And I do think that mid 90s to late 90s was kind of the spark plug to kind of, hey, we're winning. Let's not get left behind here. Let's give our student athletes a little bit more. But fun campus too, right? I mean, just you could see people like if I walked by at the same time as saying I could actually meet somebody and certainly in some of these different areas and you're doing so much online stuff. I really felt like it was a lot more fun back in our day. You got to actually meet people.
So, Dave, after winning the Walter Payton Award in the 1995 National Championship with the Griz, you went undrafted in 1996 for the NFL draft, ended up making your way up north to embark on your 10-year playing career for the CFL. Can you talk just a little bit about that transition?
So here's what happened. So the late Ken Staninger with Mary, good Missoula people as well. Kenny's my agent. He kind of was the agent of almost every Montana guy at that point. I mean, he had Mark Rippon, which was his big one, but Timmy Hauk. But I remember I was during the draft of the second day when I might get picked. I was playing with kids at a baseball field, volunteering for one of the baseball, just the young kids. And I think I had a phone, but I don't know if we did or if Ken was going to call me. I didn't really think I was going to get drafted anyway. I kind of had a bad combine. One of the worst things I did was I went to the NFL combine unprepared and I had the wrong shoes and I was coming off injury. I look back on it, I did horribly. And I sure as a coach now, I would have never drafted me either. But, it was one of those deals. I kind of thought football was probably over. I'll keep doing it as long as they'll let me. And I came to Canada, straight to Calgary. I played 5 years. Then from that point, I did get to San Diego, and I had a good run there, but couldn't get on the field. And I regret it as far as I wish I could have. But you know what, Krista, you got to do what you control. And I had really good preseasons. I was ready to play. I played with Doug Flutie and Drew Brees, which are two of my favorite people. I just, you know what? There's one football. There's only one for quarterback. And then I went to Seattle and I got cut. And then it started snowballing. I got cut in 3 weeks there. I went to Miami. Actually got cut twice from the Dolphins. Then I went to Detroit and Marty Morningweg, also a Missoula guy, brought me in. And Marty knew it was probably his last year because we were having a rough year, but he did it as a favor to me. And I really respect and appreciate that. And I spent 2 weeks there, but I was done with the NFL in the sense that I wanted to play. I mean, I don't make memories by sitting there and getting a paycheck. I didn't really, honestly, you know me enough. I don't live a very extravagant life. I don't have a nice clothes, a nice car. Or, I do like having. I like to go out to eat. That's one of the things in my life that is fun. But I wanted to play, and I knew it was so finite. So then I came back, and my coach from Calgary, Wally Bono, we got fired and moved to the BC Lions. So I went to Vancouver and finished off a good 5 year run there, came back to Calgary. No, it's been a great go, but the NFL life was tough on me. I don't have a lot of good friends. I don't have a lot of great memories because it was more trying to figure out if you had a home. And I'm a home person. I'm a community-based person. I don't like to just go to the highest bidder. I would rather be loyal and do the things like that. And I felt like NFL was just couldn't find my footing and did some really good things, but never got a chance. And it's just part of my life that, I wish I could have at least failed on my own terms, but wasn't given that opportunity.
Well, I feel like life is a lot about timing. For every door that closes, something else opens up. And so you ended up winning the 2006 Grey Cup as the starting quarterback. You're named the Grey Cup MVP. Can you talk just a little bit about adjusting to the Canadian style of play and then just flourishing and winning a championship in the CFL?
Yeah, so for Griz fans, I didn't follow the Canadian Football League much. And then Matt Clark and Mike Trevathan actually both went out and played for the BC Lions, and their quarterback was Doug Flutie. So I started following those guys a little bit. Trapper had taken me out on my recruiting trip. So I didn't know him well, but well enough. And the CFL game is fun, exciting, quarterback driven. It's the same offense as Don Reed's offense. So for me, that was wide open spread, shotgun, fit me perfect, a lot of action. Not to say there aren't great players up here. So it's just certainly a different size standard potentially, but everyone's hungry and loves the game. And we have ratio of things where half the team's Canadian, half the team's American. So, you do what I think, Krista, is weird about sports. It's probably given me the chance to diversify and understand cultures. You grow up in Montana and there's so many good things, but one thing you don't get is you don't get exposed to a lot of other cultures and people in different areas of the country. And I didn't travel. I didn't even get on a plane until basically I was in college. So sports, learning from other people, other areas, to me, just seeing it from a different viewpoint perspective, I think I've grown so much with sports outside of on the field. So those are the things, what Canada, I think, honestly, is a bigger melting pot than the US. And it does seem like people at times might be a little more open to change or other viewpoints. And I've really enjoyed my time in Canada.
Well, every summer we used to take a trip to Canada. That was what we did in Great Falls. That was our big summer outing. We'd go to Lethbridge, then we'd go up to Calgary. We never really went further to Edmonton, but I do feel like the diversity and just being exposed to different cultures is something that vastly different between Montana and Canada.
Yeah, well, there's no reason to go to Edmonton, Krista, so don't worry about that.
Okay, good thing that I stopped, right?
Lethbridge to me is Great Falls. It's got the wind and it's a sports city, but no, Canada's it's different now, guys. I mean, like when I came up, I was like, so how am I going to pay for things? Like, do they? And they're like, no, we have ATMs up here. You can use your credit card. And I listen, Montana is just you get into your comfort zone, and I do think Canada is a vast country with cities that are not overly populated. But now that I live in a city that when I showed up in 96 was maybe about 700,000, it's now 1.5 million. But guess where I go, Chris? I go to the country. I go west. I go to the mountains. I live on acreage. So you get yourself into where you're comfortable. I don't like the hustle and bustle of a downtown, even though I guess maybe you got things you can do or see or eat or this and that. I'm a Montanan through and through. I like the country. I like the quiet. I like the nature. I like deer. We have moose. I like grass. I love to hit golf balls on my property, like to me. So what Calgary allows that because yeah, it's a big city, but there's just so much room around it. And certainly you can find your spots that fit in.
The Krista Redpath Show is brought to you this week by Advanced Imaging. As the official cancer awareness partner of the Montana Grizzlies, Advanced Imaging invites you to join them this month and all year in raising breast cancer awareness. Join them at the Homecoming Parade October 11th and at the Griz football Think Pink game on October 18th. United in Pink, Advanced Imaging will stand with all Griz fans supporting survivors and lifting the community conversation around cancer awareness. For the details for these events and how you can be a supporter of Advanced Imaging, visit advancedimagingofmt.com. So, Dave, we've talked a lot about your playing days, and now you embark on coaching. And was that due to injury? Was that something that my playing days are over? I know you had you talked about your shoulder, but concussions. Did that determine that you wanted to continue by being involved in coaching, or was that always a drive even before you finished your playing days?
So, you said my parents are both teachers, and I just feel coaching's teaching. And I know my brother, he's got a bunch of degrees, and he was gonna be a teacher, and then he's getting a coach now. My sister's a teacher at Oregon. She's done an amazing job. I feel like coaching is, well, first off, you know me a little bit, but I always think I'm right, no matter what. So good luck with that. But the referees, I'm always right. They probably get so tired of me. But I'm always feel like I got something to add to any conversation or add to help. And so that's a fault, but also I think that's something I'm not afraid to put my viewpoints out there. And I think I can make it better, and I'm gonna make it better. That's just who I am. So I don't know if the coaching was always there. I was going to coach at some level. I could have been happy, I think, with other jobs and then coached on the side. I'm not a good parent as far as coaching my kid or being at my kids' games. I struggle. They're 18 and 20. Gosh, I just would hold it, and then I say something like, get in there, or stay with them, or that's a foul, and all of a sudden I'd be like, and then I couldn't get myself back into my quiet mind. So I'm one of those parents that I see and kind of chuckle at, but I struggle because I want what's best for them, and I feel like I can help. And so that's kind of unfortunately, I guess, something that's good and bad with me is that I will kind of put myself into any situation, and I do feel like I have something that can be added, but every now and again, Chris, it might be best just to stay on the sideline.
That is so funny. It is challenging coaching your own kid. I coached my own son in basketball, like second through eighth grade. It's a hard dynamic to tell your kid what to do.
You guys got the height. I followed because I know your kids are at Hellgate. I know Miles Link's his son Parker there too, with and the Dick family there. I saw him at a Griz game, and he acted like I wouldn't remember him, but I did. But it took a bit. I mean, but I love coaching the kid if, you got to be careful too about his friends. Like, so I've done some coaching too. And actually, Krista, you'll like this. I was the varsity senior boys basketball coach for Springbank High School one year because
I
no one
like
else would
it.
do it. No one else would do it. And I didn't have time, but I love basketball, as you may or may not. I love basketball. I think that was my favorite sport. I just wasn't as good at it as football, but and the thing about it is you got to be careful because your kid, sure, you can coach him and he may or may not love it, but hopefully he knows you. But you got to be careful how you talk to his friends and then who's motivated. Some of the kids in around here, I feel, they're not playing for the same reasons you are coaching. Like they're playing, it's social, it's a social game. It's fun. I enjoy it. And then here I am out there, Mr. Competitive, having to push, push, push. And so I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure I'd highly recommend you coaching your own kids. I think if you had someone else like you did with Ryan, I think that's awesome. I think that's smart. And yet you're there and you're around them and you're creating a atmosphere that I think obviously I'm sure you cherished and certainly you'll never give up.
So, how does leading a team as a head coach, Dave, differ from leading a huddle as a quarterback?
It's not that different. In fact, I learned this from Coach Johnson. As a coach, as a quarterback and a coach, you're gonna get all the credit when you win. But you should understand you need to take a bunch of the burden of the loss. You need to take it. And it can be heavy, the shoulders, you can weigh on your shoulders. But I've always done that as a coach and as a quarterback, and I understand that's what we signed up for. I love getting the credit, but guess what? When it doesn't go your way, you need to stand up and take some of that pressure off the other players. And certainly I'm okay with that. I'm a very confident person, and I have been very fortunate to win a lot of games. So I feel like till the last maybe 2 years when it went bad, I didn't realize how much stress can come on you and how it does. It weighs on you to the point where I guess engulfs or your whole life sometimes feels like it's a failure. So a quarterback to head coach is very similar. You're the voice, you're the leader. And now I think you probably agree with this, players win and lose games, coaches get in the way. Coaches are there to give information and hints, and then they need to understand, and I had to listen to this myself, get out of the way. Let your players win and lose the game. You've given them what you can make adjustments, but don't insert yourself into the game so much that you actually paralyze your own players.
So, you won a lot of championships as a player, and then you won the Grey Cup in 2018 as a coach. How did it change, or what was different about winning it as a coach versus a player?
Yeah, so we lost in 16 and 17 with some when I was a head coach with some tremendous teams in the Grey Cups. So we were on our third Grey Cup. I kind of backed away a little bit. I was put so much pressure on myself in the second game, the second Grey Cup loss, and we lost in heartbreaking fashion. And I just on the third one, I thought, I got to step back a little bit. It's fun, and I think I agree that it's almost, I'm going to tell you, at times it can be a relief, which is weird. So even in 2006, when I won my Grey Cup as a starting quarterback, and even in 18, it's almost like when it happens, it's almost like it's a weight's been lifted off you, but you're exhausted to the point where you forget to enjoy it. And that's probably one of my challenges in all of life is enjoy that game. Don't be thinking about next year or the next game and stay in that moment and enjoy it because you work a lot of hours and you put in a lot of time away from your family. And if you don't enjoy it, is it really worth it? Maybe not. So for me, I've been trying to live by those words, but it's tough. To me, it's winning and losing. It's just unfortunately it shouldn't be what it's about, but that's kind of how I've lived my life.
How has your Montana upbringing stayed with you through all these years in football?
Well, I think it's about the kind of who you are. So I'm not even going to try to fool people. I don't think I'm the hardest worker. Like, give a little shout out to Tommy Malott, the Cats. I know it's a Griz cap, and he's a Butte guy, Montana guy. And I just keep hearing stories, and I know this that he is so focused and such a worker, and just amazing work ethic. But I wasn't like that, and I'm still not. I'm a competition guy. I'm a guy that I feel like I do what I always need to, of course, to be prepared. But even growing up, it was more about the game. It wasn't about the process. And I know as I'm getting older and going through things, I should have probably thought more of it as not necessarily always about the end goal, as in what are you doing in the way the preparation lead up to it. So honestly, I wasn't the hardest worker, but I don't think anyone outcompetes me. And I think that came from my growing up. I feel like just the way that we were ingrained, that we were given nothing, earn everything, and I know it's cliche, but it really is true that you have to go do what you need to do to get your spot. You got to produce, and the stress levels to me was more personal. My biggest fear is fear of failure. And I just feel like at times I had a deal, and most of the guys might know, I usually throw up for every single game. Nerves to habit. Like it was almost like your throat would get dry and you're like, hey, I need to throw up in order to be me. And it was weird. And I don't do that anymore. But even in the pros, it happened a little bit. I think it was just be, the way I don't know. I'm wired that it's why is it so important? I don't know. I wish I knew why it was so important, but man, it was life or death.
I love that. I like that way of looking at winning and losing. I feel like that's
Yeah.
inherently wired in you. Now, I think you do grow as you evolve. Let's say evolve.
Gosh, I mean, but then again, if it's just about that and you don't win, or you're gonna have a miserable life. But hey, you're wired how you're wired, and ask anybody. That's the way it is. And I do think why was it so important? I don't know, to be honest. I just think, like you said, it's just certain people are geared to, I guess, validation or who you are, your identity, and what you stand for. And I felt like if I could accomplish those things, that it would give me a chance to potentially even be the voice that I want to be. So it's worked out.
We haven't mentioned your wife and kids a lot in this interview because we've talked a lot about you growing up in Great Falls, your relationship with your brother and sister and your parents. But can you talk about what your family is up to and how you're pretty solidified in Calgary? I'd love to see you come down and move to Missoula. But how
Uh,
is family life up in Calgary? And I know your son's going to school up there close.
yeah, so my wife is also a Griz, but she's Canadian. And we met pretty selfless. The hardest on sports is you never have any foundation. So you're there, but you can leave at any time. So I've always felt like for the most part, I can be happy anywhere. but it kind of takes something in life for me to be happy. So for me, it usually has something to do with sports or competition. So I'm good at it all. My son, he's going to be a freshman, or he's just started. He started at UC. He's taking engineering. Daughter's third year nursing. Both
Oh,
rock stars. Just
that's like the
well,
best accomplishment, right? When you look at your kids and watching them embark on their own professional endeavors.
and we haven't had any issues at all. Like, just I should knock on some wood. They're just really well raised, and it's been good. I mean, and then the flip side is, you're right. As you probably have with your kids, they're gonna grow up and go in their own direction. And so, like for my parents, it's kind of lucky. Craig and I are in the same city now, and so we can do some things. Amy's in Oregon, but it really would be nice to find yeah, maybe it's on the parents that when it's all said and done, you go live where your kids are and try to be a continued part of their life. But no, it's been a solid going, and we feel safe up here. We got a good life. The weather is not great. That's the thing in Canada right now, to be honest, that drives me a little crazy is I'm busy all summer. And so when the grass is green, the golf courses are ready to go. I'm busy. And then when you have some free time in the winter, I'm not much of a skier, snowboarder, that sort of guy. So it's close to Montana, but it has some advantages maybe that you can do some things that you can't in Montana. So happy with how it's played out and happy that I'm still though connected close enough to go drive to see my parents and be part of that Montana community.
So when people reflect on your journey, Dave, from a Great Falls kid to a national champion to a CFL head coach, what do you hope that they remember most about your story?
I mean, honestly, I don't know, like I'm not a religious person, but I have this thing where I got faith in people. I guess the main thing for me would be no, that's a tough one, Christy. You might have stumped me. I want to be genuine, authentic, and I want to be there for people. That's probably it.
Dave, just being here, even for me, and coming on and doing this interview for me, and it's very personal because we have um, advanced imaging that's come on to really make this whole breast cancer awareness game for the Griz and breast cancer awareness really big because I've been affected by this with my teammate Skyla Cisco. And those relationships, they go so much further than any type of basketball court or field. And so it's all about relationships and the people at the end of the day. And like, I just appreciate being able to reach out to you. And I know when my son committed here and we took the first picture next to you in the tunnel, it was just like, wow, this is like really incredible right now because we are next to Dave Dickenson, which my son knows and understands, but I don't think he really inherently understands like I do.
Think back, like, do you remember, because you got to go into a 30-year window here. Do you remember the people from 30 years ago? It's tough, right? And I do think kids, though, at least most of them, sports is a way to kind of intertwine generations. I think it can be cool that way. So I do, you sent me the photo of that. And I think I had nicer hair back then, even though it's hockey hair, but I don't have any hair anymore. But I will say that I enjoy that younger generation at least giving us our due. You know what I mean? Like we were doing some good things back in the 90s as well. So I think it's cool if, kids graduate from high school now, at least giving us our due. The tradition was important to me, and I'm glad that sounds like your son's doing the same thing.
Thank you so much, Dave, for your time today and for everything that you've done for our great state. Is there anything else you want to add to our interview?
No, but I want to wish Skyla well. I'm still through and through Griz, try to get down as much as possible. But I realize how fortunate I am to be adopted, and don't take it for granted.
Thank you to one of Montana's greatest treasures, Dave Dickenson, proud Great Falls native, Griz national champion, and current head coach for the Calgary Stampeders, for telling his story today. Thanks as well to all of you for listening. This week's show was brought to you by Advanced Imaging. The official cancer awareness partner of the Montana Grizzlies, Advanced Imaging invites you to join them this month and all year in raising breast cancer awareness.